Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. We are powered each week by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, give our friend Keith a call at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. You can reach them at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. We are live at the Roman Oven Pizzeria in the Americus Village Shopping Center. We'd love to have you come hang out with us, have a good meal, and let's talk a little high school football. I'm your host, Tim Estes. As always, I'm proud to be joined by legendary prognosticator Scot Westbrook. And Scott, looking at last week, Sumter County had its first loss of the season. We'll talk some about that. Both Southland and Schley County had wins on the football field, and all three teams back in action again this week.
Yes, sir. We had Southland stole a game.
Yeah.
Schley did what they were supposed to do. And it looks like that Sumter County just found a mountain a little too tall to climb over in Columbus. So I'm hoping they get to see them again, though, before the end of the season.
Southland Academy, as Scott said, he called it a steal, and it really was. We'll go through some of that with you, but Southland comes into this week now with a record of 3 wins and 6 losses. They got a 15-14 win in regulation over Robert Toombs. This coming week, they'll play on the road down in Damascus at Southwest Georgia Academy. So how did Southland win? It was 14-7 late in the football game. Southland got the football with just 3 or 4 minutes left, drove it down the field, had it 4th and goal, and got stopped. But they had all 3 timeouts left. So Robert Toombs started kneeling on the ball or not trying to advance it, ended up giving Southland a safety. That made it 14-9 with less than 40 seconds left to go in the game. They kicked it, and Turner Simmons returned it for a touchdown, Scott, to give them a 15-14 win. So you know if you're that Robert Toombs coach, you're beating yourself up, but what a way to win. That just tells me these kids at Southland Academy are fighting tooth and nail for everything they can get.
They are not out of a single game. The Robert Toombs coach, he did what 99 out of 100 coaches would do in that same situation. There was only one thing that could beat you was exactly what beat them. And that's what when they kicked the ball off, they returned it for a touchdown, and I'm sure the coach – screamed on the sidelines and blew his face. No matter what you do, don't let him score. Don't let him score. And that's exactly what happened. And it's funny because, we were getting texts throughout the game as we do during the Friday night games. We'll get them from our friends and connections at other schools. And all of a sudden we stopped getting them. And that's understandable. When you have a big win, you're celebrating the person texting, you can't stop and text and say, hey, and respond to everybody. But I called you. I said, have you heard anything at Southland? He said, no, but I heard a big old roar over there. And so that's exactly, you heard it from all the way from your house.
Yeah.
That probably whenever Turner Simmons returned that one, it was a roar that was heard all
around the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly right.
This week's game, the Raiders go on the road to Damascus to take on the Southwest Georgia Academy Warriors. The Warriors come into this contest with a record of 6-1. They are currently ranked number 1 in the GIAA Class AA rankings. And, Scott, this one's going to be a tough one for the Raiders.
It's going to be a hard one, but, Kennesaw State beat Liberty last night. So, stranger things have happened this week. So, hopefully, Southland will go in there and catch the boys down in Damascus, sleeping a little bit. One and still another one this Friday night.
One of the interesting things that stuck out to me as we go through the numbers and we study these things during the week, for the last 2 weeks, Southland has had the toughest strength of schedule in AA, and their 2 opponents were way down the list. This week, not the case. Southwest Georgia Academy has the third-ranked schedule in GIAA AA. So both of these teams going to come in battle-tested. Southland at 3-6, Southwest Georgia at 6-1. I don't know why Southwest Georgia only plays 8 regular season games this year, but that's all they had on their schedule.
Well, that's all they have to play. I mean, it doesn't really prepare you well for the playoffs, but it also, keeps you from having injuries, keeps your players well rested. I don't know, with the wing tee, with what Southland runs, when you against a team like Southwest Georgia Academy, they're going to, Southland is going to eat up some clock, and they're going to keep the game close. And if it's close at halftime, and certainly if it's close going in the fourth quarter, that bodes well for Southland in this situation.
I think you're right. I went through their schedule, Scott, and looked at any common opponents, and they do have some common opponents. Let's see who they are. Southland played Deerfield and lost 34-7. That was on opening weekend of the football season. Southwest Georgia beat Deerfield 30-0. Robert Toombs Christian and Southland, we just went over that. 15-14 Southland win. When you look at how did Southwest Georgia fare against them, they beat Robert Toombs 33-7. So Southwest Georgia on paper looks like the team that will be the dominant team this week. But after the last 5 or 6 games, not just the games that Southland has won, but the last 5 or 6 games, they've competed against some really good teams.
Irrespective of the injuries they've had and the low number they've got this year, they've bought into the coaching philosophy, the wing tee, that when you run that correctly, you've got the ability to beat anybody in high school football. You're playing on the team on the other side to make a mistake, and if they do, you usually break off a big run. So we'll see. I mean, on paper, this one looks like it's going to be a tough hill for Southland to climb, but realistically, they've won some games that we didn't think they'd win. They've stayed close in some games that we didn't think they would this year also. Absolutely.
Kickoffs at 7:30 down in Damascus on the campus of Southwest Georgia Academy. Today's program is also brought to you in part by One Digital Solutions. They are a steward for business growth and personal development. One Digital resolves real problems by fusing together real solutions for your business and for your employees. They do this by providing a tech-enabled, customized solution to things like human resource management, financial services, and employee benefits. It really is everything all in one. It's One Digital. To contact them, call our friend Will Peterson. His number is 229-347-6289, and let One Digital begin helping you today. Next, we'll move on to Sly County. Currently, Sly County has a record of 5 wins and 4 losses on the season. This past week, they defeated Central of Talbotton 34-0. This week, got a big one at home against their arch rivals, Marion County, who comes into the game 4-4. The Wildcats did exactly what we expected them last week, Scott. They go down to Central. Central dresses out only 13 players. I think there were 18 people in the stands. The starters played during the first half, and it was 34-0 at halftime. Coach Darren Alford doesn't play a starter in the second half, lets a lot of the young guys get a full half, almost a full half. They went with a running clock. But really, we got a little bit out of it because of that, built some depth. Almost a sad situation down there at Central, but I did like the way he handled the game.
He did, and one thing I like about Central, and it's like you said, it's a sad situation because they just don't have the numbers each year, even though we know they've got the athletes there. I mean, a lot of people forget that I think it was the first year that they had the playoffs in the Dome, Central was there.
That's right.
Central Talbotton was there, and so it just shows you how much they've slid down. But you look at like number 12 for Central Talbotton he played both sides. He was there, Travis Hunter.
Yeah. He
was making all the tackles. He was making all the plays. And there he is in Central Talbotton, probably not going to get the exposure because, being in a small rural town and, not necessarily a program that wins a lot of games, but he may hopefully he'll get the opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's some coaches and some people in the community that are giving him the exposure that he needs, because, I mean, he played with a lot of heart, a lot of athleticism. I'd like to see him at the next level, see what he could do.
Now, our opponent this week, Marion County, they've been on a roll as of late, and this past Friday night pulled off a major upset with a win over Macon County.
That was very surprising. We peeled that onion back a little bit and found out that Macon County had a few players that some of their better players that didn't play the other night for whatever reason, maybe injury or whatever. I think that's what was reported to us. But, Marion County and Sly, there's no love lost between those two schools. And I was even accused of this week of fanning those flames a little bit. I get a text.
You wouldn't do that, would you?
I will not fan the flames with a bunch of high school young men. Now, colleges and universities and pro teams, you might catch me with my fake Facebook account fanning some flames there. But I'm not going to do it at the high school level. But apparently a bouquet of roses was sent to Sly County High School with the message of the person that accused me of it. This is what the message they said. It said something like, "Your run is over. Go Eagles." So some flowers were sent to Ellaville, whether they came from, Buena Vista or Oakland or wherever they came from. They found their way to Sly County High School. So there's been a little bit of poking and prodding in old school. I'm sure that spills over into social media. But it'll be an interesting game. Always a good rivalry. Rivalry games, you just never know how they're going to come out.
Scott, when you look at the region standings, because of that Marion County win last week, you now have Sly County at 4-1, Taylor County at 4-1, Marion County at 3-1, and Macon County at 3-1. So 4 teams with just 1 loss. And so this is a big one. This one, if Sly can win this game, it will ensure that they're either the 1 seed or the 2 seed. So you'd get to host a playoff game if you win Friday night. It also ensures you don't have to play Bowden or Manchester in that first round game.
And at home, in Bowden or Manchester,
right.
Neither are the friendly confines for an away team, especially Bowden. But yeah, I think that Sly County really needs to go in there and be focused and win this game, just simply because of what you pointed out. And also, Marion County's coming off a big high of Macon County. They're going to play with a lot of confidence. So Sly County's going to have to come in and really control the momentum and control that game in the first quarter. Because if they let them play off that momentum from last week, it may be a tough pig to wrestle in that one.
Yeah. These two teams couldn't be any more different in their offensive approach. Marion County depends on the run. Sly County on the air attack. And boy, Blake Weldon, I know the competition level last week wasn't as good, but he 12 for 15 for 238 yards in 1 half. That's pretty impressive.
And Kendall Sims is starting to catch the eye of some notable D1 programs. Last weekend, he was at Coastal Carolina. So obviously he really wants to have a good game Friday night. If he's on their radar, he wants to, especially after visiting there, you want to follow up with a good game because they're going to be looking at you.
Yeah. Always, these two teams always bring a big crowd. So we're expecting a huge crowd. Kickoff is at 7:30 at Wildcat Stadium. That'll be in Ellaville on the campus of Sly County High School. So Marion County and Sly County fans, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Today's program is also brought to you by the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. They are located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. Go by and see them or give them a call at 928-3686. Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of them, their fine staff would love to discuss your insurance needs with you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Thanks so much to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. That brings us to the Sumter County High School Panthers. Scott, we've bragged on these guys all year long. I think I won this last week because I went against the grain. I still just felt like Carver of Columbus was on that one tier and Sumter was on the 2 tier. And Sumter County did drop their first loss of the season to Carver of Columbus by a score of 31-0. This week's opponent, they'll host Hardaway, who's not a bad team at all. They come in at 4-4. They're 3-2 in the region. Coach Will Rogers and the Sumter County Panthers, had to experience something for the first time this year, and now we'll see this week. How do you respond to that?
Well, I picked Sumter County. I let my fanaticism overweigh probably the judgment. What you said exactly was, Carver has been at the top tier for a while. It was a heartbreaker, but I tell you, Sumter County's time is going to come.
It is.
And if they continue to win out and win the games they're supposed to, they'll see Carver again. And it could be on some neutral ground if it keeps on the way it may play out. So I have not lost any faith or momentum in my enthusiasm for Sumter County. I think they'll bounce back. Sometimes it's not a bad thing for a team to lose a game in the regular season.
Right.
I think Don King said it about Mike Tyson one time. He got humblified. And then sometimes you get humblified, and that helps out the in the playoffs to where you just don't go in there thinking that nobody can touch you. So, and we hope Carver goes in there thinking that in the playoffs, and Sumter County may catch them again.
And Scott, this week's game does have some meaning, more so for Hardaway than it does Sumter. Sumter's going to wind up the number 2 seed in that region. But Hardaway right now stands in 4th place. So all the top 4 teams in this region get a playoff berth, and they'll come in with a purpose trying to get that win to secure a playoff berth.
We're going to need the fans out there more so than ever on this game because, like you said, Hardaway's playing with a purpose. They're playing with a reason to win the game, so they don't think they're going to just come in there and lay down for Sumter County.
Our hope is that Sumter County's players and coaching staff will be fired up and get these final 2 wins of the regular season to finish out 9-1. Don't let one loss skew your season. You lost to a great team and nothing to be ashamed of. You may get another shot at them, but to do that, you're going to have to win this week. Beat them this week, beat Hardaway this week, and then Columbus High next week. We got somebody checking in with us on the live chat. Scott, what do you see?
Let me put my glasses on. Hold on a second. Let me see. It says camping and cooking with Kerry.
Oh, okay.
Let's go. Region titles coming down to the wire.
That's right. Appreciate you checking in with us there, Kerry. All right, so that gets us through, Scott. Before we make our predictions, let's talk a few about these other teams in the area. Lee County, man, they're just rocking along. Lee County's 8-0, and nobody's come close to them. They're going to battle north side of Warner Robins at 2-6. The game's going to be down in Warner Robins. What do you think about that one?
Lee County is favored by 49.
Yeah.
That's one of you. Rarely will you see a team on the high school computer rankings favored by more than 50. So that they push the envelope to the edge on that one. Northside Warner Robins struggling this year. Perry seems to be the big dog over there right now.
Yeah.
And so Northside struggling. Lee County, they're going to Northside Warner Robins. That's the only positive for Warner Robins, Northside Warner Robins in this situation. But I think Lee County is going to be similar to the game that Sly played last week against Central Tarleton. It's going to be lopsided.
I'm going to have to go with you there. Lee County going to win this one in a big way. And the positive for Northside of Warner Robins is they won't have far to get home. May even get home in time to watch the 11 o'clock football Friday night on WMAZ. Macon County at 4-4 going to take on Central of Tarleton at 1-7. This one should be over quickly as well.
Hey, bring a chair in from the outside. We got a crowd in here with us right now.
Yeah.
We need another chair in here for the folks that are sitting in here with us. We appreciate y'all coming tonight. The Macon County, Central Tarleton, Macon County is favored by 43. And that right there, and let's bounce back to that Lee County, Northside Warner Robins. Lee County favored by 49. Macon County, number 1 team in the region, playing against Central Tarleton, only favored by 43 against Central Tarleton. So that just puts a little bit in perspective for you. But, I mean, this no-brainer, Macon County over Central Tarleton. But watch out for number 12, though.
Absolutely. One of my big fans that's here tonight just dropped me a note and said, don't forget to mention that Friday night is senior night at Sly County. So all the seniors in the fall sports will be recognized there. Come out and support your seniors at Sly County. One more game, Scott, before we get to our predictions for our 3 focus teams, and that's Taylor County 6-2. They're going to host Crawford County at 3-4. Who has spoiled a few of these?
They have Crawford County and Crawford. This is their, the rival for each team. Taylor County, believe it or not, is ranked number 6 in the state in points allowed per game. So they're playing a phenomenal defense right now, only allowing an average of 10.9 points per game. They're favored by 21 against Crawford County. As the game's going to be in Butler, I feel quite certain Taylor will win that one by that spread.
I, too, believe Taylor County is going to win that one, but I don't think it's going to be by 21. Really impressed with the Crawford County quarterback, who does a lot. He's the quarterback, he's the kicker, he's the punter, plays a lot on defense, and they'll give him a break every now and then, but that kid's phenomenal. But just Taylor County, too many weapons for him, and Taylor gets the win.
I saw him working the concession stand when I was there one Friday night.
It wouldn't surprise me. Serving hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Southland Academy, 3-6, goes on the road to take on the Warriors of Southwest Georgia Academy down in Damascus. What do you think?
As much as I would love to pick Southland, I'm going to go ahead and go with SGA with hopes that this motivates the Southland folks to prove me wrong. I'm hoping that any extra motivation that I can give them, please, put my neck on the chopping block. But it looks like SGA is a little bit too strong this year.
When you look at this on paper, there's no question SGA is the stronger team. We've been really impressed with what the young men at Southland Academy have done week in and week out to compete, but I just don't think they're there yet. So I'm going to go with Southwest Georgia Academy as well. You got the line on that?
28.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to beat Southland by 28. Chance Jones has done too good a job of holding teams down. I'm going to say Southwest Georgia, but not by more than 2 touchdowns.
Right.
All right, Sly County at 5-4, going to host Marion County at 4-4. This is a rivalry game, and you never know what can happen. What do you think will happen?
It seems like Sly is favored by 7. With Marion sending those flowers to Ellaville this week and poking the bear a little bit, we'll just see what happens. But I'm gonna give. I would have had they not sent those flowers, I would have probably went with Marion County because of the momentum and the role they're on, especially coming off that big win. But I think they may have motivated Sly County just a little bit too much. So I'm gonna go with Sly County.
I too believe Sly County will win, but I have a message for the Sly County defense. Linebackers, you've got to stay home and fill the gap. You can't get caught running upfield. These guys can run. They can run it well. Cornerbacks, you've got to contain on the edge. You got to do that, or they'll beat you, and that's how it is. Marion County has really improved over the course of this season. They're on a 3-game win streak. I think Sly County being at home and being able to throw the ball will be able to come out on top, but I do believe it'll be a rivalry game that will be close, and Sly wins it in the end. And finally, Scott, we got Sumter County at 7-1, hosting Hardaway at 4-4.
I think this one is it's like Sumter is favored by 29. I think Sumter County is coming off that loss last week. They're ready to start getting some momentum, getting ready to go to the playoffs. This one, especially if the fans in Sumter County show up like they have in some recent games, I'm going to go ahead and give Sumter County the nod on this game.
I, too, believe Sumter County can win this. We ran into Will Rogers yesterday in a local store and got a chance to talk to him, and he wanted us to pass along how appreciative he has been of the support that Panther Nation has given them. Even in the loss, he said folks are patting them on the back saying, hey, we're getting there. We believe in you. We believe in these young men. So it's good to see that kind of rally point around these young men. We know that the culture has not been great there over the last few years, but something that Coach Rogers is doing, and we haven't been able to put our finger on any one specific thing, but he is turning the corner with these guys. They're a good-looking football team, And I think they'll get the win against Hardaway. And then next week they play Columbus, which should be a big blowout. But Hardaway comes in here with a purpose. They want to win, and we want to see the Panthers spoil their night. Scott, that's it for high school football. But before we sign off tonight, I did want to talk a little high school softball. First thing we need to do is congratulate Coach Blaze Hargrove and the Southland Academy Lady Raiders. They were eliminated in state play down in Columbus, but boy, what a season they had.
I think if anybody would have told Coach Blaze Hargrove about, this is what's going to happen this season, he would have taken it hands down. I mean, I think he would have been tickled to death where they ended up, how they performed this year. It's funny, though, when they start performing well, you want just a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I can't say that, the loss obviously was disappointing, but by and large, just a great season, building momentum for the next.
I think only 3 seniors on that team, and boy, they played a big role, did a good job. We want to congratulate them. But Southland's got a bright future on the softball field, and I'm sure Coach Hargrove and his ladies will be back strong. The Sly County Lady Wildcats came in with not too great a record into the playoffs. Now, when you look at their schedule, you know why. And Coach Jody Sellers and I spoke about this on the radio. You look at some of their losses, Scott, and they had a couple of losses to Perry, who's ranked very highly in the AAA ranks right now. They lost a couple to Westfield that won the AAA GIAA state championship. They lost to Southwest Georgia Academy, who won the AA state championship. They lost to Lee County twice, a big 5A school. And they competed with them until right up the last few innings. So Jody put together an incredible schedule that right now you're starting to see the payoff of that. And they had a big win the first week of the playoffs, 2 out of 3. They won both games 9-8. Or I think it was 4-1. I don't remember the exact score on Mount Zion of Carroll. And then this past week, we're able to advance to the Elite 8 in Columbus with 2 big wins at home. And so, Scott, I'm just really proud of what Jody's been able to put together there at Sly, and we want to wish them the best of luck as they go to Columbus.
Definitely. Callie Bishop had 2 great games yesterday. Abby Cheek, she did well. We're worried a little bit about Dixie Justice, if she can overcome the injuries that she's dealing with. She's such a important part and just a big key out there in center field. The Claxton fans, they were pretty well behaved, but they did let me know, and I don't know if they told you because you were on the radio, their disapproval with how we treated their facilities by only bringing about 6 fans with them. They weren't going to give us the any of the gate money, but they wanted to let us know that they did not appreciate how we
treated their football facilities.
Well, it was completely unintentional. I mean, anybody with any sense would know that's the last thing you want to happen in a situation like that. But nonetheless, but they only brought about 6 fans with them. But that's how the way they want to play with it, I guess.
Sly County will be matched up in the first round of the Elite 8 with Clinch County, who pulled a best 2 out of 3 win. They split the first day with Millard County, and then won a 1-run ball game yesterday to advance. And so Coach Sellers and the Lady Wildcats will take on Clinch County. I believe that's at 11 o'clock on Wednesday.
It is. Yeah, I've already got a buddy of mine from Homerville. That's how I found out. He texted me with a screenshot of the schedule. I picked at him and told him, I said, y'all ran from us in football for 3 years. So now, we'll see how y'all do in softball. So I'm going to really need the ladies of Sly County to beat them so I can have some bragging rights and to quiet him down for another year.
That's right. Also want to congratulate Sumter County High School's women's volleyball team for winning their region championship in volleyball. So a lot of good things happening here in the Southwest Georgia area with all 3 of our focus schools, Southland Academy, Sly County, and Sumter County High School. Scott, this has been a lot of fun. I look forward to some good football tomorrow and being back here again next Thursday.
Amen. Be careful.
We want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. I want to thank Logan Luton for filling in for Scott a couple of weeks ago, and Logan's going to provide us with some stats for next week. He's going to be at the Sumter County game, and we'll try to get some stats on that from Logan. Want to especially thank our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, One Digital, Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance, and the Fish House. Make sure to go by and support these fine sponsors this week. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you'll get out and watch some high school football this weekend. Thanks to those that have commented on our live chat as well. We'll make sure and get back to you when we get off the air. Thanks again for Scott Westbrook. I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.